EGR diagnosis. You should go back and watch the first one so you know what I'm doing. Now I got a little Ranger in here. I'm going to put this over here. Here is the little Ranger. And it's got, I've got my EGR valve right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect my EGR vacuum line, right? And I'm going to hook up a vacuum gauge into my EGR line. This guy is vacuum operated. Now I'm also going to hook up my EGR valve itself to a hand vacuum pump. All right, so I can manually open the EGR valve, show you what happens, and we can monitor what the computer is doing. So let me start. Okay, so this thing's been running a couple minutes, a minute or two. It's not fully warm, but you know, it's been running for a minute or so. So this vacuum gauge right here is hooked up to my vacuum line that goes into my EGR. Now, these EGR valves are so detrimental to idle, to fuel economy, and emissions, they have to be very tightly controlled. So the computer is monitoring this whenever it can. So if I give this just like a little blip of gas, you'll see this needle jump. The computer's monitoring flow from the EGR into the intake. And it does it utilizing this guy right here, which is DPFE. Watch the other presentation, I explained it. Now, because I have it disconnected, it's not seeing any flow through the DPFE, so right now the computer's panicking. Something wrong with it? There's something wrong with it. I think there's something wrong with it. So I am going to give it some more gas. We're going to pump this thing a couple more times. See how far up it goes? Now, if I manually open the EGR a little bit, give it a little manual EGR, you can see how just a little tiny bit of EGR causes the idle to fall on its face. I give it a lot of EGR, open it wide open, this thing runs like heck. Now, right now, the computer's like, man, because it's seeing me do this through this DPFE. And I can go look on a scan tool and go see it if I want to, which I will do. But now watch what happens when I give this thing a little gas. See how high it jumps now. There it is. Got started out real high and then it jumped down lower because it's DPFE. It's seeing flow, but it knows it's not commanding it over. That's IA. This puts it into a testing strategy to see, you know, so the computer can go, oh my God, what's wrong with this thing? Get it? I haven't blown a code yet. The computer is still testing the circuit. Get it? Okay, so now I got my handy dandy scan tool hooked up, and I'm watching the DPFE. Now watch what happens when I give it a little bit of vacuum. You can see that it sees this. And this is still hooked up to the computer. The computer's not opening that valve. I am. So when I give it a little bit of gas, you'll see this guy spike. The computer's not seeing a corresponding change in the DPFE. It's flagged this as being an issue. Get it? So I know how this works. I can go in and do stuff. One of the things I can do is clear the codes. Hang on. Now, I know I told you guys time and time again, do not clear the codes. However, this is the one spot, well, actually a couple spots, where we can clear the code. Remember, out of the first presentation on EGR, I talked about the fast initial response or the rapid step response. Well, if the computer flags it as being something being amiss, it goes into this rapid step response. It wants to figure out what the flow is for the EGR. Since they're so detrimental to emissions and idle quality and drivability, the computer has to keep very close tabs on it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to clear the codes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to look at how it reacts to a cleared code situation. Okay, so literally as soon as I started this thing, it started hammering the DPFE. And it's trying to figure out how much flow it has. But it's not seeing anything because they still have it disconnected. So I'm going to go in and reconnect it and see if it settles down. Oh, it stopped. It's already given up. Let me plug this thing back in. Give it some love in the RPM. There it is. Yeah, it's going like right away. Every time I raise the RPM, it's getting smaller. There it is, big again. So it's diminishing now. Can you see it okay? So it's right away it's gone through this fast initial response or this quick learn response thing due to a code clear. So what I'm saying is if I want to make the EGR operate all by itself, I can use this. I clear the codes. I know, sure as shooting, as soon as I start this car, it's going to go into testing the EGR. The computer's going to do that. And I can go look at stuff while it's doing it. I can check the DPFE. I can go look at the voltage from the DPFE on the scan tool, and I don't even need to open the hood. Get it? Now, these almost all of these guys operate about the same way. Everybody uses the same thing. You know? When we clear the codes, it's going to go into a fast check. And we can see it on the scan tool if we're paying attention and if we know what to look for. Got it?